Moving right along, listeners. This is Ryan Rowe, one of your hosts, and I just wanted to let you know that this week, in addition to the regular episode that you're about to hear, we have a very special super bonus episode. We've arrived at the scene in The Muppets Take Manhattan that introduced the Muppet Babies to the world, so we thought it would be cool to talk to Michael Frith, the longtime creative director of the Jim Henson Company, who designed many beloved fan favorite things and characters for the Muppets, including the Muppet Babies themselves. So that's what we did. We talked to Michael Frith, and we ended up with so much great stuff that we did a whole super bonus episode of it. So you can find that either above or below this episode in your podcast player feed. And of course, as always, you can also find it on the website at toughpigs.com. And you should listen to it because it is good. So without further ado now, let's continue with this, our regular episode, starting with that opening theme music. Hello, Muppet fans, and welcome to Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we watch The Muppets Take Manhattan 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Ryan Rowe.
I'm your other host, Anthony Strand.
And this week we have an extremely special return guest. He knows a whole lot about the Muppets and Jim Henson, and we always like talking to him. Guest, please tell us who you are.
Hi, it's your favorite guest host, Brian J. Jones.
Yes, and
who's actually not your favorite guest host, but is very happy to be.
You know, somebody out there, you're definitely their favorite. And I assume everyone listening to a Muppet movie podcast knows, but in case you don't, Brian is the author of Jim Henson, the biography, and we're very happy to have you. And today we are talking about minutes 53 and 54 of The Muppets Take Manhattan, in which Baby Piggy sings I'm Gonna Always Love You, backed by her Muppet Baby pals. So we do jump right in with Baby Piggy singing this song. I think rather than going sort of play by play, we can kind of jump around and talk about the different aspects of this number that we like, if that works.
Yes, because babies do not follow linear progression. They do whatever they want.
That's true. The whole world is just this overwhelming thing to them. And this musical number is an overwhelming thing to us.
Well, this is actually the last scene from the movie The Muppets Take Benjamin Button, so they actually age backwards on this one.
This song, I'm Gonna Always Love You, like the other songs in this movie, it was written by Jeff Moss. This, I think, is probably my favorite song in the movie. Together Again is pretty good, but I think this would be on the top of my list.
No, I mean, I've been singing Mama, Dada, Boop, Boop, Shoo-Wah-Wah all day.
Yeah.
So. Like it earworms you. It's such a great song.
Right. Well, I was telling Ryan, my 2.5-year-old son, Miles, thinks that's the name of this song. He'll just like ask for it. He'll just be like, I'm about to hear Mama Dada Boop Boop Shoo-Wah-Wah.
I can see why.
You know?
Absolutely.
So
it's so catchy, the whole thing. We should mention that sharp-eared Muppet fans have noticed that Jeff Moss engaged in a little bit of self-plagiarism here. There's a song from Sesame Street, I guess from the 70s, called With Every Beat of My Heart by the band Little Jerry and the Monotones, which is extremely similar to this one. And I know, like, you know, there's the rock and roll chords, so a lot of rock and roll, like old sounding rock and roll songs like this one kind of sound the same, but they are very, very close to each other.
They're very similar. And actually, I think I've mentioned before, because it has some movie songs, when my wife Roz and I first started dating, we had, I burned a CD for her of Muppet love songs, and it had both of these. It had good.
It's a longer list than people would think.
Right. Yeah, sure, it had like 38 songs on it.
Yeah.
But I put "Gonna Always Love You" and "With Every Beat of My Heart" both on there, and I made sure to put them very far apart, so that like it wouldn't get repetitive.
It might have been funny to put them one right after the other.
And she would have just been like, "Ugh. Why did you do this twice?" But before we move on, I do want to say that With Every Beat of My Heart has Jerry Nelson singing lead falsetto, and it has this amazing opening where he says, You know your heart beats pumping blood to all the parts of your body. I know that my heart beats too, and that my heart is beating for you. And then the crowd goes bonkers because they love it.
Yeah, I love the whole culture of Little Jerry and the Monotones. They're the biggest band in the world.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, maybe I'll put in a clip of that song and this song when I post this episode.
With every beat of my heart, I'm hoping, baby, that we'll never part. I promise, baby, I'll always be true. My heart is beating for you. My heart is beating, it's beating for you. Gonna be a movie star, and I'm gonna learn to drive a car. Gonna be a veterinarian too, and I'm gonna always love you.
I don't know if it's the right time to bring this up, but did either of you go and watch the music video for this that was shown on Phil Donahue or
Yeah.
Mike Douglas? Really fun.
Yeah,
I think it was Merv Griffin actually.
Merv Griffin, that's right.
I think there were three choices, and you guessed
I guess two
that it
out of
wasn't.
three.
Yeah,
Dick Cavett would probably be the other one.
right.
Yeah, the music video is very cool. I actually don't have my notes for that because I figured I might save those for next week. But yeah, it is very cool and just fun to see the Muppets sort of embrace like the MTV style.
Well, and Jim clearly loving the CGI, smash cuts between scenes. Like he's got the fly-ins and like just loving that tech like always there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that kind of stuff a lot when we are tempted to say, like, I don't know, anytime there's like a computer animated production by the Jim Henson Company or whatever, and people are like, why aren't there puppets in this thing? Jim Henson never would have wanted to do a thing without puppets in it, but he sure loved those computer effects in the 80s.
Yeah, intended to just use them on, I always say in Labyrinth, it's so funny, he blows it early. Like he's like, let's just put it in the opening credits and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he does again on Jim Henson Hour. Just put it in the opening credits. We'll just spend all the computer CGI budget right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Although Jim Henson Hour, they had Waldo show up.
That's true.
Every once in a while to just be like, let's talk about our favorite topic, ratings. Viewers love to hear about ratings numbers.
Yeah, that's right. It's like Star Wars learning about let's debate tax and trade law. Oh,
right, exactly. It's true. Waldo is the galactic
Newt Gunray.
He's the Newt Gunray of Muppets.
Oh God, I wish I had said that.
There it is. Exactly. Thank you.
It was a collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the lyrics of this song are delightful. This is Baby Piggy's idea of what constitutes all big achievements that she wants to do in her life. And they're all over the place. She wants to be a movie star. That's a very difficult thing to achieve. She wants to learn to drive a car. That's not quite so difficult. A lot of people do that.
Except we've seen Piggy be a movie star 3 times now, and we've never seen her drive a car.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah.
We've never seen her be a veterinarian either.
Well, we've seen her be a nurse in a veterinarian's hospital.
Nurse in a veterinarian's hospital. That's correct.
Yeah.
Where they have animals as patients.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess, have we ever seen Miss Piggy drive a car? Maybe not. Maybe she never learned.
I don't know.
Motorcycle, that's probably the closest.
That's true. She can drive a motorcycle in a different universe, maybe.
So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of the rhymes are great, and then just the timing of it, and the way she contrasts the different items on her list. She wants to be the cutest model you ever saw. Then she's going to study criminal law, and then she's going to learn to scuba dive too. And she's going to always love you. Do you guys have any favorite lyrics?
I mean, I've always been partial to, I'm going to climb the Matterhorn, but only after all our children are born.
Our children are born.
Yeah.
Because like, shouldn't that line be only like before all our children are born? Because like, she's like, I'll have some babies. And then like, I will leave them at home to go climb a mountain.
That's true. I had not thought of it that way. I guess she wants to get all the kids out of the way. I don't know. Yeah, no, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but she's a baby, so
right.
What do we want from her?
Right, but it's also a great image of like Piggy being a mountain climber, and then being like, "Well, now that I've got motherhood out of the way, I guess I better go climb a mountain."
Right. Yeah. And it occurs to me this might be up to this point, like the most sort of empowering moment of feminism for Piggy. Because, you know, she doesn't think twice. She truly believes that she can do all of these things. She can do anything and everything she wants to. And some of these are fields that in the past were traditionally dominated by men, but she doesn't care. Not only is she a woman, she's a baby, and she's just going to do all this stuff.
Do it all. Plus, the other thing I love in this is I love seeing Rolf, even though he's a baby, absolutely wailing on the piano. Like, you don't get to see Rolf rock out quite like that enough.
Right. Well, actually, like, I've been watching the Muppet Show on Disney Plus lately again, and Rolf's piano playing is always so meticulous. Yeah. Like, they take pains to make sure that he's playing the right keys at the right time. You know,
Steve Whitmire said they were very proud of that.
Sure, yeah.
Piano playing, yes.
Yeah, and here he's a baby, so they don't worry about it. He's just pawing away at that piano like it's a chocolate cake. You know, like
I love that. Again, I love that because, like you were saying, like usually Rolf is very meticulous, and here he's just wailing.
Right.
Yeah, he's just banging away,
just great,
like a baby would on a toy piano. Exactly. He gets a pretty good sound out of it, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anything else about the song as a whole or the lyrics before we move on to some other elements of this number?
I do love the way that Piggy snuggles up to Kermit when she says, "Practice neurosurgery on your brain."
Yeah.
Like that's the most romantic thing she can do for him, or something. You know, I don't know.
Right.
It's really cute.
I'm just a big fan again of the Mama. Papa shoot, like with them laying on the ground doing the call and it's not call and respond, but that's always my favorite part of it.
Yeah, that's very catchy. Well, that brings me to the next thing that I had, which is just the puppets and the puppetry in the scene, which is really, it all goes by so fast, but there's some really impressive stuff happening here. Like,
well, especially when you know how hard that scene was to film,
right?
And that. It's a real game of hiding in a lot of it. Like, I think it was Frank Oz who said that you had the camera in the exact right spot, because if you were half an inch either way, you were going to see the hole in the floor, or you were going to see, too much of the bottom part of the puppet. Like it was very much about hiding. Correct.
Because there's so much like moving their little limbs around and stuff.
Yeah, and apparently, they're like this big. They're right here. It's not, you can't bring it down. There's not a sleeve to bring it down. It's a glove. If all the Muppets are a sleeve, it's a glove.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess it was even physically tough to just like get your hand up through the hole and do the job. That's what's always so great about the Muppets is it's it looks seamless and easy, and it's actually really hard. I think it was Jerry Jewell who said if it's Oz. I think it said if you're not sore, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and we see the floor of the nursery a lot here, which is not normally the case with Muppets, where usually. And
I think you've probably got a little bit of animatronic when you've got the crawling Muppets. So
I was wondering about the crawling because I feel like we'd be able to see any holes.
Yeah, I was looking.
So they must be. I
would bet that's a Baby Alive type movement.
Yeah, right.
Although, are they singing at that point? Are they moving their mouths?
Well, they aren't they crawling up and saying like, "Hello, hi Kermit."
So then that would have to be an additional mechanism. So I'm sure there were several puppeteers working on this. Yeah, and then Kermit riding the rocking horse. That's just a lot of adorable energy in the background while Piggy is singing, and then he falls over backwards, which is even cuter.
Yeah, and how did they do that? Is that some sort of like the rocking horse is just pulled over like by a screen from off screen or something?
Notice that in that take, in that segment, you can see it rocking in the background. It's hidden for the most part. So it's like whatever they needed to do, it was probably something that they had to cover up, because you don't see a whole lot of that in that take. Sure. And then goes over. It's probably hinged on the floor behind Rolf. So it's a lot of. I think it's hiding in the right spot.
Yeah. I found an article from the Associated Press on July 12th, 1984, where the reporter was on the set when they were shooting this. It said, it says, first Frank Oz shouted action in his own voice, which sounds like Fozzie Bear. Then he provided the falsetto tones of Miss Piggy while a puppeteer wiggled the starlet's snout and a stagehand wobbled her legs from underneath the set, which implies that Frank is like throwing the voice while two other puppeteers are actually manipulating the Piggy puppet, and Frank is directing. Then it says, Henson lay on the nursery floor, moving Kermit on a miniature rocking horse while he nodded Ralph's furry head by remote control. But he couldn't work the canine's paws on the toy piano, so another puppeteer, Steve Whitmire, stood underneath the set and ran his own hands across the keys. It took dozens of hands and feet.
So we still have Steve right-handing.
Yeah, it's great. He's still Ralph's hands. Pushing buttons and cranking levers so a pig could sing a love song to a frog. Oz and Henson worked hard to keep technology from overwhelming whimsy, which is a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, so there you go. I mean, that's the magic and the thought that goes into the Muppets, because there's a lot of tech going on in this that you don't even realize is there. And then second of all, with all of it there, it's hidden really well.
Yeah, so I guess just like rods from underneath on the rocking horse.
It would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at about 18 seconds, I think, you can see it fall over backwards, and I would bet it's hinged right there on the floor because they don't move it from behind. You see it go down, and Rolf is in front of it.
Yeah, I bet that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, that stuff is all, these guys are so good at their jobs. I also like first I like that the performers are all doing these high-pitched baby voices, like baby versions of their familiar character voices.
My God, when Jim sings "Current going to be a movie star," like that makes me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I'm partial to Gonzo, to Dave Goelz's baby Gonzo voice.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen in the span that we're watching, but I remember when I was watching this song again earlier, and they're getting to the end, I'm like, there is no way Oz is going to hit that last note. I'll be damned if he doesn't nail it. But
yeah,
boy,
and not even in his usual Piggy voice, but in a baby Piggy voice, which is even higher.
Yeah.
And then you have Scooter, who is already like a youthful version of Richard Hunt's voice, so he just kind of goes falsetto with it himself. And then the second time they do the Mama Dada Boop Boop Shoo-Wah-Wah, there's this moment where Ralph is like bouncing up and down, and then he flips all the way over and kind of lands on his head.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ralph must be a marionette there, right? Like his legs are like hanging loose below him. Like
I don't know.
It feels like he must.
I guess I always.
No, I think that I think he's controlled. There's a hand going through the headboard.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
This way,
sense, yeah.
And then they flip it.
And then they flip it all around.
And the hand could be at a sort of an angle already, so when it's time to flip it, it's still like the puppeteer could do that without breaking his arm.
Yeah.
But it looks really great.
Yeah, so again, like as we've been saying, it's all about hiding.
Yeah.
Right.
Great job. Al.
Well, and we didn't talk about all the sequence where they're all riding different vehicles around the nursery.
Yes, I love that.
Which is really impressive to me. I mean, especially Kermit is riding his little tricycle.
Yeah.
Which that must be like a reference to the Muppet movie, right?
Oh.
Like, everyone's in different vehicles, and Kermit is specifically riding a baby bicycle.
Yeah,
right?
I bet you're right.
Like famous
wipes out on.
Which he wipes out on. And I love how long he hangs out after he crashes. Like it cuts back to him and he's still just like in that same position, like just toppled over on the floor.
He's got to finish the chorus, yeah.
Right, exactly.
And then Gonzo goes by on the plane, right?
Yeah, Gonzo on a plane.
Which looks like, I don't think that puppet is really moving much. That might just be the puppet with nobody's...
The arms are going a little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we got Fozzie and Scooter on a fire truck.
Yeah.
Which, I don't think either of them are moving too much either, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
And then Rolf driving a train.
Rolf's head's kind of going back and forth. So, yeah, that's fairly easy to do because, those are clearly just remote control. There's no wire, nothing on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all just feel so alive and full of energy, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so a few other details. I like that their costumes are all pretty much the same as what they ended up wearing on the Muppet Babies cartoon.
I love Kermit in the sailor suit for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like the frog's in the water, so he's got to have the sailor suit, I guess.
I guess that's what it is.
Reasoning.
Yeah. Even though, and he's still wearing like a little on Muppet Babies 2018. It's not quite a sailor suit, but it's like a polo shirt with like that same white and blue, So they still.
I do love Rolf with the Big Bird doll too.
Yeah, which like broke my brain as a child because it's like in the Muppet movie, Big Bird is on his way to New York to break into public television, right? So in this one, when they're babies, Rolf already has a Big Bird.
I
And
didn't
then
think about that.
and
Blew
then
my mind when I was a kid.
We're ruining continuity.
Big Bird shows up at Kermit and Piggy's wedding at the end.
Right? Big Bird's at the wedding. Yeah, that's true.
So
In the
But
back
I
row,
guess-
so no one's behind him.
But I guess it is a fantasy also.
right.
So Piggy, I guess, does Piggy know Big Bird? I don't know. She made fun of him on the Muppet Show that one time. You know,
I guess she does, or it's just like a subconscious thing where she's familiar enough with him to just kind of plant him in her
Then
fantasy.
you actually get Fozzie with a teddy bear at one point.
yeah. But I was thinking about that. But like, my daughter has a ton of human dolls. You know, like that's not unusual.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, and I think
None of them
Fozzie
have a hat though.
that's true.
I think Fozzie had a teddy bear when he was leaving town.
He did, yeah.
saying goodbye. Yeah, on that
On the
train.
train.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's a nice
Yeah,
little callback.
there's a lot going. I'm just looking through this again. Watching, there's a lot going on. I mean, you're on the scene at about 149 where you've got Scooter in the foreground and then Gonzo just going nuts on the rings in the background.
Yeah, that's fun. There's that little swing set in the nursery.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this.
Yeah, at one point it looks like Piggy is swinging on the swing and then she jumps off and kind of dances to the foreground, which I'm sure that's just sort of a trick of the editing where they just started with Piggy right in front of the swing, so our brains sort of fill it in and we assume that she's just been swinging on it.
I'm slowing it down, looking at it, and she does start off on the swing, but you could do that with your arm in front of it. And
Right.
The hands are probably just attached, and they just pop them off. But yeah, that's a really great effect.
Yeah, but still,
Yeah,
like you
very,
say, they have
very
to make
great.
sure that we can't see the sleeve or the puppeteer's arm.
Well, fortunately, the director of this movie, I think, had an idea or two about how the Muppets work.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
yeah, he'd been at it a while. Also, Ralph sings the line the second time about a doctor what is it? A doctor for diseases, a doctor of diseases.
A doctor with diseases,
With
I believe.
diseases. Anyway, he has a stethoscope, which could be
Yes.
a reference to Dr. Bob on Veterinarian's Hospital.
Ah, that's true.
Oh, good.
That's true. Yeah.
That's true. He even has the thing on his head.
Right?
The
Yeah,
scope, the
Yeah.
light scope.
yeah. So I'd like to believe that.
I didn't think about that.
Deliberate.
That's a good pull there.
Yeah, it hadn't occurred to me until this time watching it.
And again, you've got Gonzo going crazy on the ring, so he's clearly doing the Daredevil stunts. Even
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Wow, they put so much thought into this, or we
And-
are putting so
and-
much thought into it ourselves.
And Scooter is there also. So there you go.
Yeah,
Like,
Scooter.
always.
Yeah, I don't know how you could translate his
Scooter saying 20 seconds to poo-poo time.
right, something like that. Well, on the cartoon, they had to just like he was the computer expert.
He
For
was
some
just, he was just
reason.
like he was just like a
Yeah.
nerd. They
Yeah.
were like, Scooter wears glasses.
Right.
He must be a nerd.
He must be.
So it was interesting. So when I was watching the video he showed on one of the 3 daytime talk shows, there's a lot of them sitting watching the TV with the moment from the movie on it, and
Right.
that's actually kind of the setup of the cartoon. Remember, they would sit and they
Yeah.
would watch the TV, and there was live action on the TV.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why the cartoon is not available anywhere because they licensed all that
I love
footage
that-
and now they
I
don't have
love-
the rights to it.
I love that Jim Henson's attitude was ask for forgiveness rather than.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that so? I guess I don't know for sure if this is the case. Was a lot of that footage taken without getting any kind of rights or permission?
I don't actually know that. I know the Star Wars one, which is the most problematic, was one where he's like, George and I are friends. It's cool.
Right.
Huh. Yeah. Although
but I don't know about the rest of it.
You think that wouldn't be an issue now? You know, I mean,
Yeah, Disney should have no problem. They own it all.
Yeah.
They run the table.
Yeah.
right. But speaking of Muppet Babies, the cartoon, and actually also the 2018 Muppet Babies cartoon, we see Fozzie sitting in the bay window here. That like octagonal bay window,
Yeah.
which has been a constant. It's in the classic Muppet Babies and the new one. It's like the focal point of the nursery always from here on out. You know, so
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah, and I like that they brought it into the cartoon. There's just something, I don't know, it just kind of centers the whole nursery somehow to know where that
Right.
window is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good design. There is a character who was on the cartoon who does not appear in this sequence, and that is Animal.
Summer Penguin. Oh,
Yes. There's no Summer Penguin. There's
That's true,
also
I
no
didn't think about
Skeeter
that.
here, but there's no
Oh,
Animal, even though Animal is in this movie elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Was
Well, and-
was Dr. Teeth ever a baby? I don't know.
I don't think so. There was like a preteen version of Janice on the show, but I don't think Dr.
Yeah,
Teeth
For
ever was.
sure.
Yeah, Janice was on there, and Dr. Teeth. Weirdly, in the new in the Muppet Babies 2018 show, I think I've maybe even talked about this on the podcast before. But there's an episode where Animal is practicing his drums, and then the lead singer of his favorite band, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, calls him and offers him to be the drummer of the band. Dr. Teeth is a puppet performed by Bill Beretta on a TV screen in that episode. It's not a cartoon Dr. Teeth. It's just like
it's really happening within the world of Muppet
no,
Babies.
It's part of Animal's dream
It's his dream. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Whew.
And then, but even within that though, he's like, Animal not ready yet, and then he like practices his drums more.
Yeah. Don't try to wrap your head around any kind of Muppet continuity.
A lot going on there.
Yeah.
But one thing I do find interesting, I've mentioned a couple times on this season, the Marvel Comics adaptation of this movie. There is a baby animal depicted in that. So maybe he was part of the original plan and they decided not to include him in this. Maybe they thought there were too many babies already, but when they did the cartoon, they thought he was worth throwing in there.
Right. Although, no, go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say the cartoon that was on back in the 80s. I mean, they really handed the creative reins on that over to Mike Frith. So I could imagine him kind of going nuts with trying to get as many of them into the baby sequence as he could on the line.
Right,
Sure, yeah.
right. Yeah, as many as was feasible, I guess.
Right, yeah. I mean, he was just gone nuts on this.
Yeah.
Frith is so interesting. Like he had the Muppet Baby Bible, he did the Fraggle Bible. Like Frith was the world builder, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say though about Baby Animal, the next time that we see the Muppet Babies in live action is in Muppet Family Christmas, and they must have built Animal for that.
Yeah.
Because he's not only very prominent, he's like the main gag of that scene is that Animal breaks the piano and then adult Animal breaks the screen that they were watching the old home movies on.
Right. And by that point, he was the breakout star of the cartoon, so I think they probably just felt like they had to include him.
It's fascinating to me that, we're watching this segment and it's like, how can you not absolutely fall in love with the Muppet Babies? But this was it almost surprised Jim that this was the piece of the movie. I mean, when it came time for merchandising, this was the one that everybody grabbed a hold of and like, we want to market, diapers under this and
Sure. Well, I mean, like we said, they're adorable, but also like the rest of these, I mean, the characters as adults have been around for 8 years at this point, right?
Right.
And have been merchandised like crazy. So I get it that it's like, well, what's new? Look at this. It's Kermit the Frog and he's a baby,
But I think it surprised him and you can ask Frith about this. He would know what a juggernaut this became. Because I don't know that they expected this little 2-minute dream sequence to, become its own franchise so quickly and so successfully. I mean, I was going back and I was looking at the history of the cartoon, and it was it won the Emmy its first 4 years of its 7-year run. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible. Now, it did get beat in the ratings. Pee Wee Herman beat it almost every week in the ratings, but it did win the Emmy 4 years running. So, I mean, it was like right out of the box. It was huge.
Huh. I mean, I certainly adored it as a small child.
You just mean like the overall Saturday morning ratings, I guess? Because weren't they both on CBS?
Were they?
They were.
Oh, right. Yeah, it finished. Yeah, Pee Wee's ratings were higher.
Yeah, I see. Because I was just going to say, I feel like I was watching both of those shows at the time. I don't know how I could have made the choice. Like, if I had to choose between Pee Wee on one channel and Muppets on the other.
It would have been tough.
Right.
Yeah. I do have some stuff about the origins of this sequence, which maybe, Brian, you can add to with anything that you might know. This is from a couple entries on the Jim Henson Company's Red Book blog. It said the idea of baby versions of the characters had started to percolate a couple years earlier In the Henson art department, illustrator Sue Venning was working on a mini book called The Muppet Showbill, and as Michael Frith described, Jim suggested, wouldn't it be great in that tiny little book to have tiny little pictures of the Muppets as their tiny little selves, in other words, as babies? It was too late to change the book, but everyone found the idea to be charming. So basically they started to sort of make drawings and sketches of what the babies would look like. It says, eventually they asked the workshop to try making some models and then puppets which the performers further developed as characters. Everyone fell in love with them, and it seemed like a given that they should be incorporated into the movie.
Well, see, that'll be a good one to talk to Mike Frith about, because when I asked Frank about, and Sinatra told me not to name drop, but I'll call him Frank. So when Frank Oz, when Frank said, when I asked him about Muppets Take Manhattan in the script, because Oz had some hands on the script, and the script was not written by Frith, and I said, where did the Muppet Babies come from? And his answer was like, well, who knows where these things come from? Like, he couldn't remember. I think Mike Frith would tell you he knows darn well where it came from. So I think it'd be interesting to get sort of the secret origins version of that from Mike Frith.
Yeah, it does seem like
Oz couldn't remember.
In a creative, collaborative environment, sometimes it's hard to track like exactly who had the idea first. Like you could say, wouldn't it be funny to see them as babies? But is that the same thing as creating them, or is it the person who draws the pictures of them who created them?
Right, and you could probably draw a straight line from the background you were giving there too. But that's definitely a question you should ask Mike Frith.
Yeah. And then, so there was a ton of merchandise with the Muppet Babies on them.
That's the famous story about them suggesting diapers and Jim asking, "Are you going to let kids shit on my name?"
Whoa!
But then went ahead and inked the deal to permit Muppet Babies diapers.
The diapers probably didn't have the name Jim Henson on the actual diapers, right? Maybe on the box.
Who knows? Maybe on the box. Maybe there was a tag in the back that said the Jim Henson.
Right. According to a UPI story on May 9th, 1984, the merchandise was sold to licensors with the tagline, "You'll love them as adults, you'll adore them as babies." So that's cute. And then
really, I don't know. That strikes me as not a whole lot of effort going into that.
No, it's not especially creative.
Right. Well, it reminds me of in the early '90s when every VHS cover for a kids movie said, "If you like Home Alone, you'll love Blank Check."
Oh, sure.
Or, if you like Home Alone, you'll love Three Ninjas.
Richie Rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that the firestorm that Muppet Babies created that is unforgivable but not their fault is every Saturday morning TV show then immediately launched Scooby-Doo Kids and Flintstone Kids and Jetson Kids and
right.
Everybody is kids.
My favorite of which, ironically, but by which I mean I only like it ironically because it was terrible, was Yo Yogi.
Me too.
A cartoon about Yogi Bear and the whole Hanna-Barbera gang hanging out at the mall.
Oh boy.
And that one took a while though. Like, there were several of them.
It was like 91, 92. It was
oh wow.
I think
it was late to the game.
The Little Archie, and actually Little Archies, that might have existed. Did that
exist?
That came out of the
60s. Yeah,
in comic book form. Right. Yeah. But then they got a Saturday morning show after Muppet Babies came out, right?
Did they?
I think they did.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, someone can correct me on Facebook if I'm wrong. But and then Flintstone Kids for sure. But Yo Yogi seemed like it was a little bit delayed. Like Muppet Babies had been on the air for several seasons before that one came along.
And
pup named Scooby-Doo, all that nonsense.
Right.
Yeah, I'll actually go to bat for a pup named Scooby-Doo. I think it's one of the better Scooby-Doo shows. It had a very like self-aware, like meta attitude to
get
it
out of here,
that I enjoy. It's true.
There was also a merchandise line of Sesame Babies.
And then Sesame Beginnings videos later.
Yeah, much later, but
like
I think
2000s.
Right, I think Sesame Babies was more of a direct response to Muppet Babies also, where it was like, wouldn't you like a plush doll of Cookie Monster as a baby?
There was a great cartoon in Comic Buyer's Guide by our Muppet loving friend Chris Smigliano, where it was like, if you love the Muppet Babies, you'll love Watch Kids, and it was like all the Watchmen characters as kids. So.
Wow. Yeah,
awesome.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure there are other examples that we haven't even come up with that I'm sure people can remind us about. Another thing about the merchandise, this was on another Jim's Redbook blog entry. As a selling tool, Henson licensing executives Isabel Miller and Betts Fitzgerald dressed up as English nannies pushing prams and filmed a promotional video in Central Park. That sounds very interesting, and I would like very much to see that.
Yeah, that sounds wild.
It does.
Yeah. So if we can get our hands on
Sound,
that.
it actually it sounds very British too, in a way. I think Jim's 5 years in London. I think we're
Yes, there's the influence there, I'm sure. Nannies and prams.
yes, exactly, like the opening of Mary Poppins.
Right. One thing that didn't happen, though, there's yet another entry on the Red Book blog. Guy Gilchrist, the artist who did the Muppets newspaper comic strip, pitched a Muppet Baby strip to Jim Henson. He came up with about 20 samples of what it might look like, but it did not get the go-ahead, so that never got made. You can actually see a couple of those on that blog entry, which I can link to in the show notes. But there was this comic book adaptation of the movie, and then the Muppet Babies did get a comic book series from Marvel Comics for a couple of years, so they continue to live on in that way. Yeah, so, and then the music video, I have some more notes that I'll save for next week. So that's pretty much all I have as far as specific notes about this sequence. Any other final thoughts? Brian, I will start with you.
No, again, my fascination with the Muppet Babies is mainly just what a huge financial success it became for the Henson Company. Every 5 years, they seem to hit on something that just gave them again, the income that they needed to keep doing creative stuff. So it's one of those things where people often say, complain about merchandising and marketing for the Henson Company, which people forget was the small independent company working out of a brownstone.
Right.
This was their lifeblood. And so something like Muppet Babies, people might say later, oh my God, it was over marketed and so on. That's what was keeping the lights on at Henson Associates and letting Jim go out and do things like Labyrinth and keep investing and keep working, because he didn't have to worry about the overhead quite as much. So I love that. That's why I was saying earlier, I think it even surprised him.
Sure.
I don't know if when he was doing his long-term budget, he was writing, and then the success of the Muppet Babies will carry us through 1987.
Yeah.
It was just a huge project. I mean, a huge fiscal juggernaut for them, and what more power to them. It was Jim's always got that mentality of he's not going to let junk out there. He had to personally approve everything.
Right.
So even if you felt the market was saturated, it was never saturated with junk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I had some Muppet Babies merchandise at the time. It was all good. And I like the idea that, my Muppet Babies toothbrush helped keep the company going and helped Jim work on all kinds of crazy ideas, like various things that he had in development that never even got made, like the Star Boppers.
Oh man, I want to see Star Boppers so bad.
My toothbrush, the sale of my toothbrush helped helped give him the money to make the Star Boppers presentation pilot, or the Jim Henson Hour, or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I was expecting you to say the Storyteller, but instead you went Star Boppers. Incredible.
Secret Life of Toys.
Secret Life of Toys. Yeah.
Anthony, any final thoughts?
Yes. We see Scooter's belly button in this, and it freaks me out.
Yes, we do.
Oh, does he actually have a belly button?
Yeah, laying on the floor. You can see everyone else is covered up. Scooter has a very clearly visible belly button, and I question why that was like what design decision.
Yeah.
49 seconds in the video that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
It just seems unnecessary to me, and it raises questions that I don't want to know the answers to.
Well, I mean, Scooter is a mammal, right?
I suppose he is. I suppose Scooter is a mammal. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I love that Piggy still has purple gloves even as a baby.
Even as a baby,
Oh, yeah.
Born with them.
She's been wearing those gloves her whole life.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say a minute ago. As far as the Muppet shows, as far as Muppet Babies success, 7 or 8 seasons is a long time on Saturday morning. Like most of the shows that I watched as a kid, like it was great if they got 2 seasons, maybe 3. But yeah, that show just kept going and going. So it was huge.
Yeah.
That's one that, when I was after the Jim Henson bio came out, I was talking with might have been Arthur Novell over in the Henson Legacy, and he said something really cool, which is he said that everybody kind of gets their version of the Muppets. And my editor, who was, God, I don't know, almost maybe 20 years younger than I was, like he was raised on Muppet Babies. Like when you
Sure,
said,
yeah.
as soon as you say Muppets, he was like Muppet Babies, and I was like, well, I was in college with Muppet Babies, but my experience was very different. I was like Muppet Show kid and Sesame Street kid,
Yeah.
but it's like the Muppet Babies. There were some people that was like their gateway drug to the Muppets was the Muppet
Yeah,
Babies.
that was definitely true for me to some extent. You know, I was born in 1984, same year that this movie came out, and like when I grew up, it was all the same. You know, the Muppet Babies on Saturday mornings, and
Right.
Yeah.
watching this movie taped off Disney Channel or whatever. Those are equal. You know.
Yeah. That was actually a source of frustration for me as a kid when Muppet Babies was like the main Muppet thing that any of my peers knew about. So I would mention the Muppets and they would be like, oh yeah, Muppet Babies. And I'd be like, well, okay, yeah, but there's this great show and there's these movies that those are the Muppets. It's not the same as the cartoon, but it kind of is, but it's not. But yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm still frustrated by people not knowing who the Muppets are today. Sorry, what were you going to say, Anthony?
No, just that's another one of those things that like might be that 4-year age difference between you and me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where like my whole peer group were just like, yeah, Muppet Babies is great because we're in preschool,
Right.
or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But again, like, it was the one, I mean, I've got
It makes sense.
almost 20 years on you, so I was Sesame Street Generation 1. So like to me,
Right,
the Muppets
yeah.
was like Kermit the Frog was Ernie and Bert.
Sure,
First.
yeah.
Because I remember even when the Muppet Show first came on the air. I mean, it's so hard to believe there was a time when you sat down for the Muppet Show and you were like, "Who are all these characters?"
Right.
I don't know who any of these are. I still remember watching that, and that's why Jim's instincts, I think, were right in the first episodes. He's got special appearance by Ernie and Bert, to orient us. But it was like, I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but I remember sitting there and you're like, Fozzie Bear, like who are these guys?
Right. You wanted to see Grover and Cookie Monster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. There's still a lot of people who can't tell them apart. Every time the Muppets or Sesame Street come up in the news, it's like, why isn't the Count in this new,
Right.
Muppet series with Fozzie Bear?
Yeah, those best friends, those old buddies.
Exactly.
The Count and Fozzie Bear.
Yeah.
I would actually pay to see a buddy movie with Fozzie and the Count driving across country.
That could be
Sure.
fun. That could be
Yeah,
fun.
I can watch it.
Or maybe they're cops. That would be even better.
It would be fun to see Fozzie playing the straight man to the Count, which I think is the way that would have to go.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Let's pitch it.
Fozzie and the Count.
Look. We all know that Eric Jacobson and Matt Vogel work well together.
Absolutely.
All right. They can do it.
Yeah.
They can make it happen.
Yeah, let's see it. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, we can wrap things up. No, wait, no, we can't wrap things up. Brian, we like to ask our guests, do you remember the first time you saw this movie? What is your history with it? If you are able to, how would you rank it alongside the other Muppet movies?
So I saw this one in the theater in 1984. I was a junior in high school. So I saw this in the theater. This is actually my favorite of the Henson era movie of the three. This is my favorite of them. I think it's the funniest one. I think, because you've got Oz at the helm, and Oz understands that character drives scenario instead of scenario driving the character. So I think that's one of the reasons why, Oz is very particular about character and very angry.
He talks about it.
Not getting the character.
He talks about it a
not
lot.
getting character right. Yeah, and so I really think you can see his, even though again the script isn't necessarily by him, but I think you can really see his hand on the wheel in this one, for that real focus on character. And I think a lot of this is very laugh out loud, funny, and very clever. The whole sequence with Kermit as losing his memory as the ad man is just one of my absolute favorite sequences of all the movies. I just think this is my favorite of the three. I just think it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah. So with that, then we will wrap things up for this week. Everyone, please make sure you check out toughpigs.com on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and all those things. Thanks to Morgan Davey for our logo. Thanks to Stacy Rosen for our theme music. And if anyone out there has any thoughts on I'm Gonna Always Love You or anything else, feel free to email us at movinrightalong@toughpigs.com. Let us know what you think. You can find me on Twitter at @MeRyanRowe. Brian, where can people find you or your work on the internet?
You can always find me running my mouth on Twitter at Brian J. Jones, spell out my middle name. You can also find lots of information about my books at brianjjones.com, spell out my middle name. If you don't, you get 300 pages of The Dead Rolling Stone. So that's primarily where you can find me, and I always love following Muppet threads and reading what people have to say, and it's a fun time right now to be a Muppet fan.
Yeah, you're really good at sort of seizing on. I've noticed on Twitter when the Muppets are sort of in the news or trending, sort of coming up with a really good informative thread to kind of let people know what they're talking about.
And then it's so funny. I'll do a throwaway. I was still laying on my back in bed the other day when I tweeted out the thing about, are you wondering, if you're curious, like why the Muppet Show might have been canceled? It actually wasn't. Jim took it off the air. I think I had like 5,000 likes on it.
Oh yeah,
like I said, I hadn't even gotten out of bed yet.
Yeah,
yeah, I was stunned by that.
Yeah, but it was good and it was very interesting and informative.
And it was neat to see Wilkins Coffee trending. I mean, who would have ever thought that?
Oh, is Wilkins back?
Somebody retweeted. Yeah, somebody tweeted out, a link to the YouTube of the Wilkins reel, and was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And that happens about, as you know, Ryan, that happens about every 6 months.
Yeah,
somebody rediscovers the Wilkins reel and circulates that.
Yeah,
but I mean, it holds up,
oh, absolutely.
Oh God, yeah.
I remember showing it to my nephew and nieces, who are all teens and tweens, and they all loved it. I mean, it was just.
Yeah,
it was just a hit.
They're so funny. It's also funny though that every time it's like these old Jim Henson Muppet Coffee commercials have resurfaced after decades, and it's like, well, okay, yeah, but they've been on YouTube for 15 years. But
and you run into the boy, Kermit sure looked different back then.
Yeah,
right. You
have to play that game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Ryan wrote a song about that one time.
Did you really?
I wrote an article on Tough Pigs, which I will link to in the show notes, called "Reminder: Kermit is not a homicidal coffee salesman." Just sort of, comparing the two, and like, look, they don't really even look that much alike. They're just puppets that are both performed by Jim Henson. And then, I don't even remember. It was a song. It was to the tune of "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star."
To the tune of the alphabet song. Can I sing it?
Yes.
All right, so this is written by Ryan Rowe, but I'm performing it.
The melody is traditional.
Mm-hmm. Kermit is a nice green gent. Atop his head are eyes that squint. Wilkins' eyes are on the front of his head. If you don't drink his coffee, you'll soon be dead. Kermit's also 2 years older and far less likely to crush you with a boulder.
There you go. That is all you need to know about it. So,
right, Ryan Rowe.
Yes,
2018.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, I think that just about does it. Everyone should follow Brian on Twitter, and also tell all your friends about this show. Give us a positive review if you can, and join us back again next week for another episode of Moving Right Along. Goodbye.
Oh, bye-bye.